Boruto chapter 54 is just a couple of days away. So, this is a pretty good time to have a discussion about possible predictions for chapter 54. Now, chapter 53 ended up with a really good cliffhanger, and we saw Momoshiki take over Boruto's body and possibly stab Sasuke's Rinnegan. Now, where do we go from here? In this video, we'll talk a little bit about all the possibilities and predictions into chapter 54. Now, there are just a few possibilities that could happen with Momoshiki at this point. And number one is that he could stay and fight. Because Sasuke has possibly lost his Rinnegan, we'll go over that a little bit later. Ishiki is dead, possibly, and Naruto is pretty much done for. His Baryon mode is over, he's lost chakra, he's weak at this point, and the only one who can even stand is Kawaki, and Kawaki lost his karma. So basically there's no one there who can take on Momoshiki. But at the same time, Momoshiki hasn't completely revived yet. He is still in Boruto's body, and Boruto is not up to form. So it could be a battle chapter. In chapter 54, we could have the first half all about a fight between Sasuke and Boruto. It's like a teacher versus disciple kind of situation. Boruto trying to come back, regain control of his body, and things like that. And they did make a promise. Because why I feel like there could be a confrontation between Sasuke and Boruto is because even before Boruto came into the battlefield, he kind of made Sasuke promise that in case Momoshiki did take over, Sasuke would have to kill him because Naruto would not. So that kind of promise has to come into play at some situation, and this is the perfect situation for it. Momoshiki has taken over Boruto, and Sasuke has to step in because clearly Naruto is not in a position to step in, and Kawaki is not going to get involved. Now, aside from that, it's pretty interesting that Momoshiki, or Boroshiki at this point, took out the Rinnegan at first. Now, I do expect Momoshiki to address this because it feels almost as if him taking revenge on Sasuke. Sasuke, back in the time when Momoshiki was defeated, he was defeated because his Rinnegan got stabbed. So Boruto was the one who stabbed it, but Sasuke was the one who made it happen. So he's kind of taking revenge on Sasuke by stabbing his Rinnegan right now. So it's kind of like a revenge situation, and I do think Boroshiki will, show him the irony here that you did this to me, an eye for an eye kind of situation. So there's that going on. And another thing that I want to address about the Rinnegan before we move on to the next scenario is that Sasuke at this point is the only one in the human race who has Rinnegan, at least that we know of. And Rinnegan is very, very hard to awaken. Zetsu had to wait for 1,000 years to get Madara to finally awaken the Rinnegan. And Sasuke awakened his Rinnegan thanks to the Sage of Six Paths, granting him the remaining chakra to, awaken his Rinnegan. So at this point, if Sasuke loses the Rinnegan, the human race, the ninjas, don't have a way to use space-time ninjutsu or anything related to the Rinnegan. So the best option here for Sasuke would be to sacrifice his Sharingan, his Mangekyo Sharingan, by using Izanami or Izanagi and save his Rinnegan. Because you can always get another Sharingan. The technology has developed so much, you could always cultivate a Sharingan separately and then transplant it, just as they're, making arms based off of Hashirama cells. They could make an eye for Sharingan. There are also Shin. When we had Shin and his pupils and his clones, so they are in Kabuto's orphanage, so they do have Sharingan. They could always transplant that Sharingan. So Sharingan in general is possible to get it back, but we can never get it back. We can never get the Rinnegan back. That's out of the question because you need the other half of the chakra, you need the Hashirama cells and all of that stuff. It's a lot of work. So I would expect Sasuke to use the Izanagi and Izanami and get his Sharingan back, or get his Rinnegan back. Now, leaving that topic aside, there's another possibility that could happen. Momoshiki would fight him. I would expect him to do that at much, but I don't think he will stay there too long to fight. Now, with the Rinnegan stabbed, Momoshiki could expect that these guys don't have a way to come back to Earth. So Kawaki does not have a karma anymore. Sasuke doesn't have the Rinnegan, so neither of them can use space-time ninjutsu to get out of this dimension. So Momoshiki's best option would be to abandon them in that dimension and escape. He has the karma and he can use space-time ninjutsu and get out of there. So he might consider doing that after having a duel with them and seeing that he's not strong enough to take them on, or he's not going to be having enough time to do that, and he's just going to abandon them, and then he's going to think that they are stuck there because they don't have a way to get back. And then Sasuke uses his eyes, and then he uses Izanagi, get his Rinnegan back, and then come back. Something like that would happen. Now, that is the second scenario. Now, there is another scenario where Boruto himself is able to um, awaken. He's able to stop Momoshiki from going too further. Mid battle he could stop Momoshiki, or force himself to come back. There are a lot of scenarios that this can go, so it's very interesting to see how chapter 54 is going to treat Momoshiki, because at this point I honestly don't think Momoshiki is going to be a big villain, like an actual villain for a series. He's going to be treated more like the Kurama. In the ancient times, in the old Naruto age, we had Kurama. Kurama used to occasionally come out, and he used to be the bad guy. He used to try to destroy his friends and enemies. So this is kind of the situation the same way, and Boruto and Momoshiki kind of resembles Kurama and Naruto. So Boruto kind of represents like a Jinchuriki for Momoshiki at this point. And a lot of fandom do not want Momoshiki to get tamed and become the good guy and support Boruto. But at the same time, it's a bit of a confusion, because how long can Momoshiki just stay inside Boruto and not be a villain? He cannot be a villain forever and stay in Boruto. He has to either come out, he has to die, or he has to turn into a good guy, something like that. So we'll see where that goes. Now, moving away from Momoshiki, just a bit of information on Ishiki. Now, this is very interesting because we already see Kawaki in the time skip, and he does have his red karma. And that does belong to Ishiki, by the way. So at some point, Kawaki gets his karma back. But in this previous chapter, chapter 53, Ishiki has officially died. Momoshiki has recognized that Ishiki is dead. Ishiki himself has died. We've seen him die, and we see his desperation, we see his mind thoughts and all of that, and it is pretty clear that he died. Now, if they try to reverse it in a way that, Ishiki was actually alive and he was just acting, that would be really, really lame, and I'm pretty sure they would never go that route. There is another possibility that some fans in Reddit were theorizing. Ishiki, before coming to Konoha, could have given a karma to someone else, possibly Code. He could have met Code. He could have given Code a karma. Code is currently guarding the Ten Tails, so it would be good for him to go visit the Ten Tails, absorb some chakra, heal himself, give the karma to Code, and keep it as a backup, and then come to fight these guys. So it is possible, because Code is the only remaining karma member left, and that is the only way for Ishiki to actually stay relevant anymore, because Ishiki is officially done for, he's dead, and Kawaki has to get his karma back at some point. And there are very few options here regarding that. One is that maybe Amado gives him the karma artificially. Number two could be that Ishiki does come back and then Ishiki fights him, gives him the karma, which is highly unlikely. Number three is that some other Utsutsuki member appears during the time skip period and they defeat him and they take it, which is also extremely unlikely because karma is red. His karma is red and it's very similar to Ishiki's karma. So it is Ishiki's karma in the end of the day, regardless of how he got it. So we're gonna see more of Ishiki at some point. I'm not sure if he's ever going to come back as a real villain, because I think that boat has sailed. Honestly, that ship has sailed. We've already seen all of Ishiki's abilities, we've seen the extent of his power, and he was pretty much taken down twice. He was outsmarted by Kaguya, he was outsmarted by now Naruto, Sasuke, and this team. So at this point, we've seen everything that he has to offer, and I really think his story is pretty much done for. If he does come back, he's just going to be relevant for the karma part. Ishiki's whole story was just to elaborate on how karma works, the properties of karma, all the cool aspects about the Otsutsuki karma concept. I think that was the whole point of Ishiki's arc, and that was really well done. He served his purpose, he was a really good villain, he put up a really good fight, all of that is done. I don't expect Ishiki to come back ever again as a main villain. He might come back again for some other purposes, but he's not going to be the main villain anymore. He's done. Now, another thing we could look forward to is we could see more explanations from Amado. Amado seems to be giving out explanation in bits and pieces, so I am more excited to learn what is Amado's deal. For example, we know a lot of other Karma members what their wishes were. For example, Deepa, at least in the anime, Deepa's wish was to taste everything. He wants to eat all kinds of cuisines and he wants to taste all the flavors that the world has to offer. That's the whole point that he wanted to join Kara. Even though it's kind of weird that he has a wish like that, that was his excuse, that was his wish. Victor, he wanted to live forever, he wanted to expand his life, he wanted to do research, almost kind of like the Orochimaru situation going on with Victor. But regardless, he wanted to expand his life, he wants to be young again. That kind of situation brought him to Kara. As for Kashin Koji, we know that his whole existence was to kill Jigen, but we don't know what uh, Amado's real purpose, what his wish was, because Jigen kept motivating Amado and all the other Kara members by telling them that their wish will come true if this plan succeeded. So Amado clearly was sticking with them for a wish, and it's very unclear what his exact wish was. It is possible that his only wish was to kill Jigen, but I seriously doubt that, because in one of the chapters when they were talking about the wish, he looks at Delta and Delta tells him to stop looking at him in a weird way. So is it possible that he and Delta are related? Is they a daughter-father relationship? He wants Delta to come back to life or something like that, because Delta is an android, and there's a lot of theories going on that Amado built Delta based on someone he loved or his daughter or something like that. So I'm really curious to know what Amado's goal really is, because at this point he's already a traitor to Kara, and Kara is pretty much done for except for Code, and he's a Konoha resident. So at this point I don't see him betraying Konoha again. He is going to be allied with Konoha, he's going to be the main researcher, he's going to give them all the technology, all the information he has about the Otsutsuki clan. So I do expect him to be the good guy for a while, at least till something horribly goes wrong, probably the time skip. But for now he's going to be the good guy. He probably is the one who helps Kawaki gets the karma back, because just a chapter or two ago he tells Kawaki, he asks Kawaki if he's feeling powerless and if he's disappointed in losing the karma. So there's something going on over there. Maybe he has a way to get the karma back, something like that, I'm not sure. But as of chapter 54, we can expect half of the chapter to be fights, and Momoshiki is going to be gloating of how strong he is and how he took revenge on Sasuke's Rinnegan, and probably by the end he's going to try to abandon them in that dimension and escape. He's going to assume that Sasuke's Rinnegan is done for, they have no way to escape, something like that. And I do expect Sasuke's Rinnegan to be fine, because without the Rinnegan they really are kind of a stuck there situation. Now it is also possible that we'll learn a little bit of Jogan. If it's possible, we could see the Jogan appearing, but I really doubt it, because I do think that's the Byakugan that Boruto has at the moment. But we'll have to see where this goes. I do expect to see a bit of a confrontation between Boruto and Sasuke. Sasuke trying to control himself from killing Boruto and fulfilling the promise he made. We'll see how this goes. Boruto is clearly not going to die, because Boruto is there in the time skip. This whole series is about Boruto. So we don't have to worry about Boruto dying. We just have to worry if Sasuke and Naruto will make it out alive. So anyway, I'm looking forward to chapter 54. This is all I can think of. There are a lot of other theories going around, but that's just way into the future. But as of chapter 54, it's not going to be too far off. It's not going to make too much progress. We're still going to have to go step by step. So in two days, we'll find out what's going to happen. And of course, we will review the chapter, and I will see you in that video. Thank you for watching this video, and have a good one. Bye.